Okay, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us for our alumni interview training session. My name is Karen Putt. I'm the Associate Director of Alumni and Parent Relations here in the Enrollment Division. And I just want to thank you again for your participation. I know that you'll be giving up a Sunday morning in order to help us with these interviews, but we really appreciate your willingness to assist the Enrollment Division in helping us select merit scholars for this next academic year. Today we're going to go through a quick training program, and you're going to hear from Tom Baer, who's our Senior Director of Enrollment Management, and also Mark Seaman, who's our Director of Merit Scholarship Enrollment. As far as the agenda for today, it is not moving. Okay, sorry. For the agenda for today, it's going to be an overview of the merit program and our selection process. And then the Notre Dame Scholars Program and alumni interviews. The Notre Dame Scholars Program is the weekend that our merit students are coming for. And then we'll go over the structure of our alumni interviews and any logistics. And then we'll be able to answer any questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom Baer to do the merit program overview.
Great. This is Tom, and again, thank you everyone for participating in today's event and for actually participating in the selection process itself. I feel pretty fortunate. I've worked at prior institutions where we were able to engage our alumni in the selection of merit scholarship recipients. And I know that all those people, the alumni found this to be very rewarding. And I'm sure you're going to find the same thing. Engage with our top students coming here and giving you the chance to interact and talk with them, I think will give you a great sense of confidence in the direction the university is moving. So again, thanks for your participation in this event. I think it's best to really kind of start with just to give everyone a sense of confidence that even though we are offering these merit scholarship programs, Notre Dame is still 100% committed to being a need-based institution, meaning that we're still need blind and we're going to meet 100% of demonstrated need. So the merit scholarship program that we have is part of a strategy, but overall Notre Dame is still 100% committed to being need blind and meeting 100% of need. And I think this could be best played out by, in the current year that we are in right now with the spring semester, we will as an institution award $134 million in need-based aid compared to $6 million in merit-based. So about 4% of our overall institutional dollars are going to go to merit scholarships, while the rest of it goes to need-based assistance. So again, this is just part of an overall strategy that we want to use. And that strategy basically is to find those students who we believe are the most competitive to enroll and use these merit scholarships strategically to gain their attention and to yield them into Notre Dame. So that's the whole purpose behind this. And I can tell you it's been very, very effective. So for example, we had this last year as an entire first year class coming in, a 56% yield rate, meaning that for those students that we offered admission to, we were able to enroll 56% of those students, which is one of the highest yield rates in the nation. For these students that we consider to be the most competitive, the students that you're going to be engaging and interviewing, we have a predicted yield rate of about 40%. And that's because these students have such great options of places that they can go to. But when we offer these students a merit scholarship, we have been able to increase that yield rate to 70%. So these merit scholarship programs have been working for us and working for us very effectively. Now, at the same time, what I would want to say is that even with these merit scholarships, these awards that we're offering, we want to make this more, though, than just a dollar award that we give them, a discount off their price of attending Notre Dame. So we offer these students also enrichment opportunities. So when they're here on campus, they have the opportunity to meet with prominent institutional speakers like a Scott Malpass or a John Affleck Graves. We will have a group of students do an outward bound experience collectively. We'll have opportunities for students to have enrichment funds so that they can study abroad, travel with the Glee Club. We'll even have some fun events with them where we'll have a hot dog pumpkin carving or go ice skating. So what we're trying to do ultimately is to give them not just the scholarship money, but to build a community of scholars here on campus amongst themselves and give them that opportunity then to enrich their educational experience in the direction that they would like to move to. So the merit scholarships, the students that you're going to be working with, the value starts at about $25,000. So over 4 years, that's a $100,000 award. So you can tell that you're participating in a process where there's a pretty significant, I guess, financial gain for these students. So our investment, our knowledge of who we want to select is really well vetted. And again, you're helping us out on that. There's a full list of merit scholarship programs that are listed on the website that you see here. But one of the things I wanted to make mention within this context is when we're talking about these awards, know that behind the merit scholarships, they're backed by donors who've invested in endowed gifts. And those scholarships that are named after those donors, like Jack and Kathy Brennan, or Ed Devine, or Walter Scott. And within each of those, there's a set of criteria that the donors have established. So when we're looking at who will be these 4% of scholarship recipients, what we're really attempting to do is to determine, to the best of our ability, those students who best meet the criteria established by the donors and with the most competitive students. So we're really staying true to stewarding the scholarship, those endowed gifts that our donors have provided for us. So a lot of times, people will say, well, isn't my student, competitive for a merit scholarship? Well, again, what we're looking at is every one of the students who's admitted to Notre Dame is going to be merit worthy at so many other institutions. We're trying to make sure that we match these students with the scholarship that has a criteria already established by the donors themselves. So the profile of students that we are talking about then, and you can see right here how selective these students are. So when we think about a median one test, looking at the best between the ACT or the SAT, and knowing that an SAT perfect score is 1600, the median one test score for these students is 1560. So that's about as close as perfection as you can probably get. So these students have done very well in terms of their academic achievement. Their median class rank, top 1%. And then when you look at these students in terms of the overall profile of the admitted class, their leadership service is all in the top 2%. So again, very competitive. In fact, so competitive that you can see at the bottom of this, the schools that we're competing with to enroll these students are the leading schools in the nation. Now again, where these merit scholarships really come in to help us out is in so many cases, when we have a student who's been admitted to a Harvard or a Yale or a Princeton, they usually will get a lot of pressure from family, from friends, from guidance counselors, from high schools to take those offers of admission, which we understand. Sometimes, though, those are not the best fit institutions for those students. These merit scholarships, these programs that we bring them into, give those students many times the opportunity to say no to those other institutions and yes to a Notre Dame. And there's so many cases I can think of students that we've enrolled to the merit scholarships who've come to Notre Dame and will tell us on a continual basis, this was the right choice. This is the best fit. They are so happy. They love their Notre Dame experience. They're so grateful that they're here and getting this Notre Dame education. And that's how these awards are working for us. So they're a part of a very specific strategy. Now, I'll also tell you real quick in conclusion, we're using this process to also help us drive a better admission application decision process too. So we've asked these students to submit video essays, to do EQ assessments, to interview with you. So we're looking at new ways and insightful ways to heighten our knowledge of how to admit the very best students. So at the end of the process, in a couple weeks, we're going to look for your feedback on what you thought of the video essays, the interview process, and tell us what you gleaned from that and how we can use that knowledge to further our application process. So that gives you a very quick overview of what we're doing. Sorry. Karen's bouncing all over the place. With that, I think I'm turning this then over to Dr. Mark Seaman.
Doing it here. And then how do I get to the next? Just return. Okay, that works.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Thank you again. Let me join Karen and Tom in thanking you for joining us today and for your willingness to help us in this process. So I want to talk a little bit. So I'm Mark Seaman, and I'm the Director of Merit Scholarship Enrollment, a relatively new position at Notre Dame as Merit. It has just begun here. It's in its infancy, but it's starting to grow. And we're very excited about the process that we put in place this year for selecting our next crop of Merit Scholars. So just to give you a sense of the process and how this worked. So all applicants to Notre Dame, including those who applied in restrictive early action and also in regular decision, were considered for merit. As Tom mentioned, all of our Merit Scholarships have a different criteria. And so part of my job as we went through the applications was finding not only outstanding students, but also outstanding students who met these different criteria. Nominees for merit consideration were recommended by our admissions staff as part of their review. So the way it worked is that our admissions counselors reviewed each candidate, or reviewed each student as part of their admissions reading process, and then passed on nominees to me, students who they thought would be competitive for either a particular scholarship or just generally, and then we would figure out kind of where they go. So that was my job, was to select a pool of students to participate in the merit process, as we call them around here, semifinalists. And that process, as Tom alluded to, consisted of submitting a video essay, the prompt for which appears later in this slide deck, so I'll let you read that in a moment. They were also asked to complete an assessment called Celebrate Strengths, which is part sort of personality test and also an IQ test. And then the final step in their process will be going through an interview with all of you and learning more about Notre Dame that way, but it's also an opportunity for us to learn the students and get to know the students even better. So they'll be invited to campus in a couple of weeks here for something we're calling the Notre Dame Scholars Program. I want to highlight a really important point about this. So your participation in the Notre Dame Scholars Program is taking place on Sunday morning from 8:30 to 12:30 roughly is when our interviews will be happening. That's just one part of the weekend that the students will be participating in. We've invited, and you'll see this on another slide, there are 72 students coming for this. Oh, I can go to the next slide. There it is. 72 students, thank you, Karen. 72 students who are attending this weekend, excuse me, and they're coming here in part, yes, for the interview, for the interview experience and the ability to compete for a merit scholarship. But we're also regarding this weekend as a recruiting experience as much as anything. We want all 72 of these kids to choose Notre Dame, whether or not they are awarded a merit scholarship or not. And we're going to do our best during their time here to expose them to all different aspects of campus life, academic, social, our communal life, our residence halls, spirituality, and so forth. In terms of the pragmatics and the logistics of this, each of our candidates will interview with up to 2 alumni as part of the program, and then each alumnus or alumna will meet with about 5 or 6 students. And as I said, the students arrive on Saturday afternoon, and their interview experiences on Sunday morning, and then in between and after that are filled with lots of different programming events. Just to give you a sense of what those include, it's a trip to and a presentation by the Center for Social Concerns. They'll engage, weather permitting, in an outdoor scavenger hunt, something very fun and social. They'll attend a resource fair where they will learn about a lot of the different resources that exist on campus and so forth. So there are a lot of different activities planned for them. The interview is just one piece. Tom mentioned that this is a pilot program, and we are trying out the idea of alumni interviews with our Merit Scholar candidates as part of a bigger picture in the enrollment division, and what kind of tools, including an online assessment or an in-person interview, might be included in admissions decisions going forward. We're also excited about this because this is an opportunity for you to meet some very, very high talented, top talent and high achieving students, and for them to meet you. This isn't a chance for you to serve as ambassadors of the university and to represent the best of what the university is about. And so I imagine in a moment when I talk about the interviews themselves, I imagine this being very much a two-way street, an opportunity for you to learn about the student and learn about their fit for Notre Dame and their enthusiasm for Notre Dame, and for them to learn about the university from you, from your experience here as a student, and most importantly, your experience as an alum and what that has meant to you. You want me to keep going, or
Sure.
I'll keep going, then I'll pass it on to you. So the interview preparation. So Tom and I and Karen too, we've all mentioned that students were asked to do a video essay, and those were relatively short. Those were 5 minutes or less. You will be invited to view the student videos that are assigned to you. So the students that you're going to interview, you'll have an opportunity to view their video essay prior to coming to campus. You'll also you'll access them through something called Slide Room. Karen will talk to you a little bit more about that. And then also, as you view each candidate's video, in addition to just getting to know them, we'll ask that you evaluate their work, just as we did. There were a total of about 16 or 17 of us in the enrollment division worked together to view almost 200 videos, I think. There were a little over 200 in our pool, and so this is an opportunity for you to take a look at them. Pardon me. The prompts. There were sort of two main prompts, and by and large, students answered one or both of these questions. The first one, as you can see on the slide, is the Father Soren, we call it the Force for Good question. And Father Soren's famous quote, and we're basically asking students, how will you be a force for good on our campus, and how will Notre Dame help you to become a force for good in the world? So a very broad and open-ended question that students could take in a lot of different directions, and but we were probing the fit of the student for the university. Likewise, we asked students if they wish to articulate their personal goals and values and ethics, why Notre Dame is the right fit for them, both academically and personally, and then how they envision themselves contributing positively to our campus community. And I'm stuck, which might mean it's your turn.
Sorry. Okay, just as far as evaluating the students in Slide Room, what we'd ask you to do is just consider the following. It's how well did they answer the prompt, and how well does the student understand and articulate their interest and fit for Notre Dame. You'll notice when you're in Slide Room, and we'll provide an instruction sheet for this as well, that the videos will be scored on a 1 through 4 scale. 1, when we were doing our internal rating, that was the highest, 4 was the lowest. And we weren't able to change the rating scale, so you'll see that 1 is an outstanding candidate for merit and moved forward to finalists, and 4 was that do not move forward for merit consideration. Obviously, everybody who you'll be viewing has been moved over into consideration for the merit finalists, but we just ask maybe on that 1 or 2 scale to kind of judge how you view their videos were and how articulate they were in answering the prompts. Again, I'll provide some more information on this. As far as accessing the Slide Room, you'll receive an email from the Slide Room vendor themselves asking you to set up your account. We're hoping to get those out by the end of this week, maybe by the beginning of next week, just depending on a couple of things behind the scenes. Some of you will get them this week, some will get them Monday. Each video is less than 5 minutes, and so we really want to make sure that you have a full week ahead of time to watch them. So we'll just keep you posted as far as when you'll be receiving your videos going through. As far as the interviews themselves, it's going to be a pretty short time frame. So in order to get all of the merit candidates through and get them to interview with 1 or 2 alums, We are going to have them be 30 minutes in length. So it'll be a 25-minute interview session and then a short 5 minutes for you to complete an evaluation. The students will be provided bios of you, the interviewers, prior to the weekend. And then you'll also be able to see their videos, as we said. So hopefully you'll have an idea of what the student is like coming into the interview. And then the student will also know a little bit about your background coming into the interview as well. We ask that you share a bit about yourself, but really the main priority is to engage the student in the conversation and really have you assess the fit for Notre Dame. Then again, we are asking you to kind of help us portray what successful alumni can do with their Notre Dame degree. That is an important part as well. But again, the main priority is to really engage that student in a meaningful conversation. And the interview questions will be shared with you, and they're coming up on another slide. We're going to have some current student volunteers to assist in keeping times on the interviews. So as you're running probably towards the end, we'll have somebody come around and just knock on your door and let you know that it's time to wrap up and move on to the next one. And then we will have you provide a short evaluation on the students. As far as the interview questions go, really the goal for this is to have a great conversation with the student and try to assess their fit as a Notre Dame student. We have varied class years on this program. Some are young alums, or some are more established alums. So when we say really assess their fit as a Notre Dame student, kind of in your viewpoint, what the fit of a Notre Dame student is. You know, you always hear no matter how much it's changed, it stays the same in so many ways. Just really from what your knowledge of Notre Dame is, what you saw in the classroom, kind of from an academic standpoint, cultural standpoint, community standpoint, how does that student, how would they fit into your ideal of a Notre Dame student? The questions I mentioned will be provided coming up, and feel free to use them as scripted and let the conversation flow naturally. But if you get stuck on one question and you have a really great conversation with that student, that's fine if you don't make it through all of the questions. They're more there for prompts. Feel free to start with, you know, one question. It doesn't have to be the first one listed. And if your pleasantries kind of turn into more of a conversation and you don't end up using the questions at all, don't feel that that's, you know, a bad thing. Really, we just want to make sure that you are connecting with that student and really trying to kind of draw out what their fit is for Notre Dame and their interest. So as far as the interview questions go, we have 4 of them to start you off with. So what is something you have recently read, seen, or experienced that has piqued your curiosity? Why? And tell me more about your interest in this area. Throw your resume aside and tell me what makes you, you. Now, of all those attributes, which one most influenced your admission to Notre Dame? So we want to kind of see what the student thought stood out about themselves. Sell me on one idea and then sell me on the opposite of that idea. Kind of how they can, you know, look at things from both sides of the lens. And you're an accomplished individual. What motivates you? Really getting down to that motivation, what has made them really stretch to, you know, be able to be admitted to a top-tier university. So Mark or Tom, do you have anything to add to those questions?
No, except for, again, I would just echo what Karen is saying. These are meant to be starter points. So if a conversation continues to build, go with the conversation. That's what's important here.
Yeah, and I would add too that if in the course of your conversation an appropriate and genius question strikes you, by all means ask it and share it with us then afterwards too, so we can continue to craft questions that are good jumping off points for you to have a great conversation with these kids.
Okay. As far as the evaluation, mentioned these points a little bit, but we'll be asking you to mainly assess the fit for Notre Dame, areas you think the student will contribute, and their confidence in their responses to their questions. And then we'll have a space that you can submit any general comments. We will link you to an online form, which you'd be able to bring in your laptop, your phone, or tablet to fill out. We'll also provide paper copies if it's easier for you to do that as well. And then we can do the data entry afterwards. We will send, when I post this online, you'll be able to link to the form, so you'll actually be able to see the evaluation form prior, so you know kind of what to look for. As far as logistics go, all of the interviews will be in the main building on Sunday, March 26th. We did get permission for everybody to park on campus, so one of the few times you might be able to do that. But parking will be available in lot A15, which is west of Stanford Hall. again, we'll provide a list of the alumni interviewers to the gate attendants. So, and just tell them you're here for the alumni interviews, and you can give them their name, and they should wave you through. And I'll also send my cell phone number out to everybody just in case there's any questions. Check-in is going to be in room 220. It's the Office of Undergraduate Admissions reception area, and we will have a continental breakfast and refreshments throughout the morning, beginning at 7:30. At the end, we ask that you check out in room 220 as well. I know some are staying for lunch, some are not staying for lunch. We just want to make sure we keep tabs on everybody coming and going. And then if you're not attending the lunch, we'll contact you for feedback on the program within the next week. For those who requested lodging, one of the last emails I sent out did have that lodging information in there, and I can send it again prior to the week as well. So we kept almost to our 30 minutes. At this point, I just want to know if anybody has any questions. Feel free to ask on audio or through the chat function as well. My chat has disappeared.
I minimized it because that's when I got stuck.
Okay.
Sorry.
Karen and team, this is Catherine Valenti. I've got a quick question here. If a student is interviewed by 2 alums, it sounded like they could be interviewed by up to 2. Are the prompts the same for those 2 interviewers?
Yes. Yeah, and we will provide the same prompts for both interviewers. And again, it's, we talked about that internally, and when we're interviewing for jobs, a lot of times we're in the same room or different rooms with different people being asked the same questions. So they are more behavioral.
Okay.
So we're thinking that the student is either going to answer the same way or think of something new to say and maybe say it in a different way that next time.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I forgot to mention as far as part of the logistics is just the dress for the weekend. We asked that everybody dress in business casual attire. We've asked the students to do the same as well. And, once you're here and check in, we'll assign you to your rooms and everything as well. So they're going to be kind of all over the main building, mainly on the 2nd floor, some up on the 5th floor and on the 4th floor, but we'll make sure you get to where you need to go. Anything else? All right, and then just, another wrap up as far as the kind of the questions. We're expecting that you'll probably take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to really exchange pleasantries with a student, introduce yourselves. The prompt should probably fill about 20 minutes worth of questions and then leaving 5 minutes for the evaluations. We do have a half-hour break scheduled. So if you have like 3 interviews, we will do a half-hour break, and then you'll go on and do 2 or 3 more interviews. So if you don't get a chance to do your evaluations, we do have a break built in for you in the morning. All right, anything else? Okay, well, again, thank you so much for your time now. I will be sending out information on the slide room video viewing, and then also I'll follow up with a link to the training site where all of the video and the PowerPoint presentation and any other information will be. So I appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you all in less than 2 weeks. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.